Hi, this is Jeffrey Kurt Financial Group. Today is Friday, October 24, 2025. So we got the CPI number this morning, and it was a little bit less than expected, still 3% year over year for total inflation. Month over month was 0.3, and the expectations for slightly higher. So it's kind of good news, even though 3% inflation we would like to see lower. It's kind of good news, and the markets really rallied. In fact, the Dow's up about over 500 points as I'm doing this midday. The real winner is the Russell, up 1.6% today and leading the way amongst the major averages. So one thing I want to point out about this, and I think it points towards what may happen next week. So a lot of nervousness was around the CPI report. Inflation too high would restrict the Fed's interest rate cuts, and so that's what the worry was. Traders and institutions, by many metric, had bought a lot of hedges and insurance that we'd have a bad number and that the markets would go down. So when we got a good number, those hedges get unwound, but also it's good news. So it propels the market higher, and that could be the setup for next week. Wednesday, we have the FOMC with an interest rate cut, quite a bit of insurance and hedges purchased around that event, and then also Trump's meeting with China next weekend. That's also a similar setup with hedges, and so if both of those events come off, benign or as expected, it could easily propel the stock market to much higher levels. So it's something to watch. I want to finish up though with earnings season and kind of an update there. So I'll give you three charts here. First, the S&P 500. Out of that, only 28% of the companies have reported, but year over year, revenues are up almost 8%. Earnings are up over 15% year over year. The Russell, only 13% have reported, because usually the smaller companies report later in the earnings season. But revenues are up almost 5% year over year. Earnings up 18%. And finally, the NASDAQ 100, so a lot of technology companies, 21% have reported, and it's been 8.5% revenue gains and earnings up almost 20 or over 20%. So that's amazing numbers. And still, there's a lot more reports to come out, but I think it's a very good sign. And this, again, could push the markets even higher into year end, which is kind of what my thought is, that there's going to be, rally into the year end. And then, as these earnings and the forecast for even the Russell for strong earnings into the first quarter. Have a great weekend. Thank you for listening. We'll be back on Monday. Goodbye.